If you watched my How to Remix a Rock Band video and were interested in how I actually built and worked on the track, I thought I'd go into a little more detail in this video. Because Beatnik are known for playing all across electronic music when we DJ, we produce music for people in lots of different genres. The one rule is that they have to fit into our DJ sets, so my main aim is to make this track very current in a trap and hip hop style, verging on trip hop, with sparse production and heavy 808 bass. My vision for this track is that it could go straight onto pop radio playlists everywhere in a similar market to something like Royals by Lorde or Naughty Boy. The vocals are really well performed and emotional, so that should work well when all fused together. As I know I want this to be quite an understated sounding remix with lots of heavy 808 and vocals, then I know I need a kick drum that will fit well with an 808 bass. That means something with some higher end sounds to it for a bit of kick, but not much bass so it doesn't clash. We also know that as an 808 is quite full, then the snare drums of the track want to be quite high end and quite thin. Not like a big heavy live snare drum sound, something more like a clap or a finger click. Doing this allows the 808 space so it sounds really big and heavy and doesn't clash with the other sounds in the mix. I decided to have two different 808 bass sounds, one longer and more distorted, and another that was shorter and gave a funkier feel. So now we have all the main constituents for the track. The vocal, started on love, which due to it being recorded simultaneously, I then have to incorporate the arpeggiating guitars in the mix, and underneath them a kick drum, clap and two 808 basses. Making the right choices about selection of sounds and samples define the whole feel of your music, as well as the quality of the end result. This process can take hours going through hundreds of kick drums to find, make, filter, EQ and layer drums that you love. It's the same with snares, percussion, synths and even your EQs and compressors. As I want this to be a very radio-friendly record, and the tempo of the track is 148 BPM, it makes perfect sense to reference things like Beyonce and trap music that is often at that speed, but pull it a bit towards the rock and pop market, as that's where the band are well known currently. So I start programming the kick drum in the order that I want, and then the claps. I have a couple of these so I can pan them left and right. Now I'll add both 808s and sequence them in the order and melody that I think works with the key, tempo and style of the track. Already that's sounding good, but I want a bit of percussion. As this track already pays homage to the original drum machines, I've decided to use a bit of percussion from one of them. I add it panned right and then make the sound move across to the left. Then, to continue the drum machine theme, I find some very short and thin electronic hi-hats to play off each other. One syncopated and the other what I like to call a runner. To reference back to the old hip-hop feeling, I then take one of the most classic break beats and layer it behind the drums, time stretching it to give it some artifacts and then EQing and filtering it to make it more rough and rugged sounding, but also hidden further back in the mix. To finish the rhythm section, I then add a syncopated snare at the end of each section to double time the feel of the beat and speed the track along. The guitars are far too prominent at the moment for the type of clean, spacious sound I'm going for in this track, so I decide to filter the highest sounds off. I really like the performance on the vocals, but there are a few little bits towards the end that don't fit the feel of my new version. So I cut these out and then repeat some of the big chanted backing vocals in other places in the track. And now it's time to mix it down. So don't get me started on love. Don't get me. Next, I add effects as needed to the sounds to make it fit together without clashing, using EQ, compression, reverb, delay, and lots more. A lot of this is intended to make each instrument fit into its own space, both in the sonic spectrum and the physical left to right of stereo sound. If you want a bit more explanation on this process, then watch my video, How to Start Music. Now we have everything mixed, it goes through another stage called mastering where, preferably someone else, listens to your mix down and then processes it to make it louder and wider and hopefully much better. This process is mostly to make sure all the levels are equal and ready for being played on radio and club sound systems, and have as much punch and energy as other commercially released music. Now go and check out the remix.